I'm Rob Shields, and this is Peace Talks, the podcast that covers everything to do with competitive jigsaw puzzling. You might know Tammy McLeod as one of the founders of the United States Jigsaw Puzzle Association. You might know her as a Guinness World Record holder, or possibly as a US National Sudoku champion, a member of the US escape room team, or competitive ballroom dancer. But however you know her, you'll probably agree that she brings an unrelenting drive to every single pursuit. Tammy McLeod, thanks for joining Peace Talks.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is going to be the best interview I've ever done.
Pre-interview prompting worked really well on you. I appreciate that. Well, I am thrilled to be able to talk to you. I think that we could talk for hours on probably any number of topics, but we're going to try and confine ourselves to jigsaw puzzling and see, with a little bit of straying occasionally, and see how we do from there. But before we go into all of that, let's begin at the beginning. What is your earliest jigsaw puzzle memory?
Earliest? Before speed puzzling even?
Early. How far back can you remember doing any jigsaw puzzling?
Well, when I was a little kid, I had jigsaw puzzles, a couple. Doesn't every kid? But I do remember one thing. I had two jigsaw puzzles. I don't remember what the picture on them was, but I found out they had the same cut. So I mixed them up and I just did a grid on both puzzles, mixing up the two puzzles. And I was amazed at this.
How old were you at this time?
I probably estimate around 8 years old.
Okay. So you were getting in there, you had a couple of puzzles and you were seeing how you could push the boundaries of those puzzles.
I was a curious kid, and I guess I don't like to play things in a way that meant to be played with always.
So you don't recall what those puzzles were?
I mean, this was a long time ago. I'm not a young person. It was probably like some Milton Bradley cartoon images based on, honestly can't remember. It could have been like Transformers or Smurfs or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Something old school.
My recollection is that you got into competitive jigsaw puzzling fairly early. Is that true?
By fairly early, I mean, yes. And my first major competition was 2020 with the Golden State Puzzlers. There were handful of competitions I've done here and there over the years. There's one in 2016 in LA that they announced was the first inaugural Orange County competition, and then the second one never happened. I was very disappointed. Even before that, as a teenager, they had some in my hometown that happened once or twice, and then they never happened again. It was never a consistent thing.
This is the one I wanted to understand, is because my understanding is like in high school-ish, you did your first jigsaw puzzle competition, and I was curious as to what that was all about.
I just saw an ad in a magazine somewhere that there was a competition going on, so I got on down there and participated. And the thing was, it wasn't a really formal competition. They allowed people to compete as a team of one or two, and I didn't know anybody who wanted to compete with, so I competed by myself, and I got third place or second place. Well, the first place was a pair, and I was like, well, I lost to two people. That's not such a big deal. And then the other person, I think I might have gotten second place, and the third place person, he was a gentleman, and he approached me like, hey, do you want to pair up next time and we'll compete again and then we'll get first place? I'm like, I don't know who you are. This is just weird. I'm just here to play puzzles. I didn't think that this was like a hugely serious deal.
Mm-hmm.
So that nowadays is I would totally like reach out if I didn't have a pairs partner, because competition is serious. But I was a kid then, and I was just like, I like puzzles. So it's a very different atmosphere, a very different approach to puzzling that I had then than I have now. Now it's my sport.
Yeah, right? Now you were hard committed. Was this like a standard speed competition? Like everybody gets the same puzzle? And
as far as I can remember, it was like 20, 30 years ago. It was a hotel ballroom somewhere. They handed out a puzzle to every table, and we just did it and went home with some like little goodie bag of prizes. And I was like, hey, I'm pretty fast at puzzles.
And you stumbled across this in a magazine. Any idea what magazine that was?
Oh, this was so long ago. No, I mean, I grew up in Singapore, so I was subscribed to this magazines for teenagers kind of thing, where they list like events going on around town. I was fairly active. I like to do things.
I just recently talked to Andrew Bradburn, who I know you know, and he was talking about his first competition, which he also found through a magazine because, that's what you did at the time.
Oh, I'm aging myself.
So were you interested in that competition when you saw it in the magazine because you had a background in doing jigsaw puzzles and a passion for it already, or were you just like, I like puzzles of all kinds, here's a fun puzzle, or just looking for some kind of activity?
I think I'm mostly a very competitive person. I like unusual competitions of many kinds because I never thought that could be a competition. Maybe I'm good at that, and I love to try. And if it's not something that's weird to me, I'll just I mean I've probably done some things that are weird too, but I'm very game for trying new things. Because I've been involved in all sorts of competition. I like done competitive ballroom. I do competitive Sudoku, as you know, and like competitive escape rooms. I guess they're all puzzles in a sense, except for ballroom. But
I was going to
it's
say,
like it's still something like, hey, this is a fun activity. I kind of enjoy doing it. I see how good I am against other people who enjoy it.
I really enjoy this. How can I compete in it?
Oh, that's my inner thoughts coming out there.
So is ballroom maybe the thing that is most esoteric as a competition, or have you done something even stranger than that? I mean, you've done some sort of more down the center competitions. Sudoku, I feel like it's not so far around. Competitive escape rooms, still not so far away. Ballroom seems a little farther out there. What else have you pushed the boundaries on?
I'm sure I've tried a lot of things I don't remember now, but ballroom was something I did fairly seriously for a number of years. So it's fairly major as, you know, things that I've dabbled in go.
When you went to this jigsaw puzzle competition, it sounds like it was just like here's a weird thing, I'm going to try it. And maybe there were a couple of more in your hometown over the course of a couple of years. Was that really sort of where your competitive jigsaw puzzling sort of stalled out at that point?
Probably, I mean, at that point, I didn't have a team. Those were all solo competitions, and never really practiced in between. My family didn't have a large jigsaw puzzle collection. Growing up, besides those two kiddie ones that I did, I think those were probably about 30 pieces. I remember we had one 500-piece puzzle that every few months my family would drag out a folding table and lay it out on, and they would do it over the next few days, and I'll just sit down and work the whole thing. And I remember working that many times. I have tried to find that puzzle again, but I do not remember enough about it to locate it. So, but I do remember just working the same puzzle over and over as a kid, just because we didn't have a large collection.
My recollection is that you even competed in math. Is that true?
That's academic, but yes, I've done the International Math Olympiad. Well, let me correct that. I was on the training team for the Math Olympiad. I was not good enough to be selected for the team to go and represent the country internationally, but I did training for that, yes.
So everything is a competition.
I did compete in computer programming, though, in school, too.
Tell me.
I mean, they gave us 3 problems, and you're supposed to write a program to solve the problems as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, I came from a school that did not have a large programming culture. There were not a lot of programmers. I was the main programmer, and the other people were there to fill out the numbers. Well, they were good, but they were not into it. Like, I was from a girls' school, and in the 80s and 90s, there were not a lot of girls into programming. It was hard to get enough like really serious girl programmers. And the other schools were all boys' schools, and they had like amazing teams, and it was rough.
When did you re-intersect the world of competitive jigsaw puzzling?
When I saw the movie Wicked Kittens, the documentary, made a big impression on me because I saw that and I was like, there is a big competition that's happening regularly. Now I have a chance to go and try and compete in that. But the hurdles being that I was in California and this was in Minnesota, and I didn't know enough people who were crazy enough about jigsaw puzzling that might fly to Minnesota the dead of winter to compete in a jigsaw puzzle competition. So it took a while for me to build that. Andrew, who had competed with me at a 2016 one-off competition.
Yeah, what was that?
That was just a random. I don't even know who put that on. Like the people who did it, they just vanished into the woodwork. I never seen them again. But I didn't know Andrew before that. I had put a call out to my network saying, I want to do this. Who knows people who knows jigsaw puzzles? Do any of you like jigsaw puzzles? Like secretly, I never told me. Just I need 4 people. So I found 2 other friends, and then someone says, I know this guy. He kind of likes jigsaws. You know, he'll be a good match. So
he may have competed nationally in a competition once.
They didn't tell me that at the time. They just said to jigsaws. I'm like, cool.
So you're because Andrew told me that he got recruited by you for a competition in 2016, and so you guys didn't know each other at that point. You had just kind of worked your network, and somebody was like, well, this guy over here. And that's how you guys got to puzzling that one time. And then there was a gap between from there till the next time you were puzzling. Is that true? That's when you
Right,
were.
because after that, I didn't know of the Winter Carnival contest. It just never made. I did hear about it out here in California.
Yeah, I had occasionally done searches for jigsaw puzzle competitions and never found it. It was out there.
Well, it didn't occur to me that I could fly to some other place for competitions. It just seemed a little out there, like this a little extreme. I don't know if I'm good enough to fly halfway across the country for jigsaw puzzles. I mean, I did fly for Sudoku, so it's not that foreign to me. My family is like, oh yeah, she's just doing her thing again. But to me, that's like jigsaw puzzle is kind of a thing. It's a team thing. I need to convince people to invest in this whole trip out there. So I was looking for stuff in my area. There was almost nothing in LA at the time. I started searching further afield. Orange County is about an hour away, so I started searching there, didn't really find anything. I had to search 2 hours away to San Diego to find this regular monthly event that Ali was putting on.
Allie
So
Krasny.
yeah, and it was a Tuesday nights in a bar in San Diego, and they'll have casual competition. I'm like, competitive jigsaw puzzlers are meeting. I got to go meet them. So one Tuesday, I just drove 2 hours to go and show up there. I didn't know anybody. And I didn't have a team. They said, oh, yeah, we'll put you on a team of random people. It's fine. And we did pretty well. And then the organizers like, you know what? I think you should meet Ali. You look pretty fast. So from there, it worked out that I met Ali and Lindsay. And so we've got people together. Okay, we have people now. Want to go to Minnesota in January? Which, is kind of a hot sell.
You went to this competition in San Diego because you had already seen Wicked Kittens at that point.
I think at that point, yes, I might have seen it. So I was I was trying to recruit people. Also at that point, I think a lot of stuff was happening around the same period. The World Championship happened for the first time in 2019 as well.
And did you go? Because I saw sort of conflicting information. I
wanted to, but before I knew anybody, I found out about it like just weeks before. That was a long and strange story because in 2014, I had been Googling for jigsaw puzzle competitions as one does. I don't know what inspired me. And I found the World Jigsaw Puzzle Federation. There was a website at the time.
Really?
And I got on it. I looked at the rules and regulations. This is cool. Is there a US chapter? And there was no US chapter. Or maybe a US chapter was listed. And so I emailed the information email. I was like, hi, I am interested. Please send me more information. And I mean, the guy was Alfonso. He responded to me at the time and said, sounds cool. I've got a big event this weekend. Or maybe next month or something. And so he said, get back to me. I'll talk to you when I have more time. So I sent him another email like a week later, nothing. A month later, nothing. 4 months later, nothing. So I'm like, oh, well, this isn't really a thing, I guess. So nothing for like the next 5 years. And then in 2019, he sends me this email like, World Championship's happening. I'm like, you could have given me a little notice.
That's right. You had 5 years.
How did you find my email to respond to it and
yes,
after 5 years just think of me and to tell me about it? So I was like,
there was this one woman 5 years ago who sent me an email. I should get back to her. I bet she'd like this.
That's the thing. I wanted to go, and it was like I didn't know anybody. I had no preparation, and it was in space. I knew nothing about doing this, putting it together at such short notice. It was terrifying. I was like, I'm a person who likes planning, so I like information, and I had nothing. All I knew is this thing happening. Who is this guy? I tried to get him to talk to me, and the website said, "Oh, you need a U.S. organization to be a member of the federation to qualify for the World Championship." I got to do this right. This is like the Olympics of puzzling. I want to do this seriously. So who's the U.S. representative? I was so confused, and so nothing happened that year. But I decided like it's happening now. So that's when I also started trying to convince people, like, are you crazy enough to do this with me?
It turns out you found some people who were.
I did, and it was glorious.
So then you guys went to the Winter Carnival.
We went to Winter Carnival January 2020. we won, and people was like, who are these Californian people coming to Minnesota in January? And we were all really psyched about it. So like, all right, let's go to the Worlds this year. September 2020, this is our year. Let's go do this. And then, the COVID hit. Nothing happened that year. It took us a couple of years. And so 2022, I think we finally made it out to Spain.
By then you had a whole bunch of other puzzling things going on. So tell me, I want to back up. You went to Winter Carnival and you went with Andrew, Allie, and Lindsay. Is that right?
That's right.
So did you guys do any practicing beforehand?
We're all fairly prolific solo puzzlers. And I know Allie and Lindsay were competing regularly in Pacific Puzzlers.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew, he was doing a lot of solo puzzling. So I don't remember specifically, but I'm pretty sure we got together and practiced. If not, I know the night before we did, we brought a practice puzzle twist. We found an oval coffee table in the basement of our hotel. We're kneeling around it, practicing in dim light. But I know we at least did that together. I can't remember how much we practiced together in California before heading out there.
To hear Allie tell it, she said that you had acquired some puzzle twist puzzles in advance, and you guys as a team had maybe tried them and done better than the people who were competing. So I guess my question to you is, did you feel confident going into the Winter Carnival competition?
I don't think so, because at the time, I didn't really know the community. I didn't know who we were up against. I didn't know there were really strong puzzles. I didn't know the people in the movie were super fast, because Wicked Kittens didn't publish finishing times of the puzzlers or, rankings. I was just there are fast puzzles out there. I have no idea what that means. Now we have all these websites and charts from competition results, and we know how fast other people are, where we stand in relation to them. But at the time, it was just this black hole. It's just there's puzzling out there somewhere. Let's go get involved.
What did you think of your first sort of large scale competition?
It was everything I'd hoped it'd be, I think.
Is that right?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. Some funny stuff came out of that, but on the whole, it was great because I got to go there, experience the competition, just get the experience of doing it as a team. We were a little bit disappointed that we flew all the way out there for 15 minutes of puzzling because it was 4 people and it was 500 pieces and it went super fast. I mean, was 15 minutes an exaggeration? I don't remember, but it feels about right. And then we didn't know what we were doing. I think we had a table in the corner. Were we assigned that? I think maybe we were assigned that. So the lighting wasn't great, but then it was also right next to a door, and the spectators were coming in and out of that door to check out the competition. So cold wind was coming in.
Oh, it's the outside door, yeah.
Yeah, and we had these round banquet tables, so we were only working on half a table because we could all work on it. So spectators were sitting, one little kid was sitting at our table, just pulled up a chair, sat down and watched us.
Right?
And Andrew was like, please leave. Oh, why are you at our table? This is weird.
All right, because I was like, well, next to Winter Carnival, I'm 100% going to pull up a chair and watch you puzzle. So.
I mean, if you're not in our way, I'm not going to say anything. I don't remember if it was that year or a subsequent year, but the big round banquet tables being what they are, I couldn't reach the other side of the puzzles because I'm small. I climbed up on the table and just knelt in the center of the table, working from the other side.
When we went to Winter Carnival for the first time, we saw people sitting on the table, and at some point, my wife was sitting on the table, putting together the puzzles. And all right, well, because those tables are huge; they're 6 feet in diameter or something like that.
Yeah. I followed, just crawled up and on all fours and was kneeling in the center. I think someone from the balcony was taking video, and he sent it to me after that.
So if there was any doubt about your interest in competitive jigsaw puzzling, I have to imagine this sort of eliminated all doubt. My experience of Winter Carnival is it's a lot of fun. It's a festive atmosphere. There's a lot of really fun people. Everybody's jigsaw puzzling. I imagine that if you have it in the back of your mind that you're I want to go to Worlds. Worlds means that there has to be a US chapter. You look at this competition, you're like, yes, this is what I want to do. Is that true?
Pretty much. I mean, the first year we went, I actually met Valerie there. And I had a case of fangirling. I said, is that woman from the movie? Oh my goodness, she's real, she's here. And oh goodness, you're talking to her. And so I was really, really excited. So I was like, oh, you like puzzles a lot. Maybe you can help us. That's where the germ of the USA JPA started. This was Allie, me, Valerie. I mean, that's where we met for the first time. And I was like, oh, she knows so much about puzzling. She's been around. She knows all the people.
Yeah, all true. And so you struck up a conversation with her, basically fangirling over wicker kittens, which is amusing to me because it would be something like 2-3 years later, I would be fangirling over you in the same place. Um, this, which is, I think I've told the story before, but this is part of how this podcast got started, is that I met you and Yvonne at the hotel, and we started chatting. I was like, these people are super nice. I bet they would just, if I asked them to talk on a podcast, I bet people in the puzzling community would just say yes. And it's true. So I'm finally happy to kind of close that loop. But I love the idea of you fangirling and then like causing, like, now I'm fangirling over you. Like, it's just a chain of people like who inspire each other, which I think is amazing.
It's pretty true. And it's quite cool to see that in this community that people so admire each other. And there's so much like mutual admiration going on.
Do you find that that is true in other competitive environments that you've been in? So Sudoku, escape rooms, competitive ballroom?
I think each field has kind of its own culture. Like Sudoku, I didn't get as close to the people there. I felt like everybody there was very introverted, which you might expect with Sudoku puzzles.
I mean, I sort of expect that from jigsaw puzzles as well. So I'm not yet sure I see the difference.
Maybe because, I don't know, a lot of people I met at the Sudoku puzzling were male. I think it was more male-oriented, possibly skewing the kind of culture a little. But
Sure.
I'm good friends with like the people that I was on the team with, that I ended up competing with. Like, we remain friends to this day. But I don't think we ever really got that close. Also, I never really got as into that world as I did with jigsaw puzzles. I think jigsaw puzzles happen a lot more on a regular basis and in a casual basis as well. Sudoku kind of does this big competition once a year, and it was a different thing. But escape rooms, you spend like an hour in a room together with people, you do get to be pretty good friends. So I feel like that community has a lot of strong friendship bonds as well, because also another aspect of escape rooms is that they are location based. You have to go to a place to play the escape rooms there. So people travel together to go and do that. So I've gone on multiple trips with various people. I played with so many different people. Like, I had this idea after I did 100 escape rooms. For the like 100 to 200 escape rooms, I wanted to collect signatures of everybody I played escape rooms with. So I made a t-shirt. I did little check boxes on the back, and I checked off each game I played. And anytime I played with somebody who hadn't signed my shirt yet, they signed it. And I ended up with this shirt, tons of signatures all over it. So it's such a social activity. So that aspect is, I mean, so that world is very much full of friends for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just as an aside, you are both a prolific escape room competitor. You've done hundreds, more than 600, if I recall, physical escape rooms, right? And then virtual escape rooms probably on top of that.
Oh, yeah, virtual escape was about 150. Those lasted through the lockdown during COVID. And
I like that you're just nonchalant. Yeah, okay, 150 of those. I didn't even really try.
I mean, they kind of went away after lockdown. I was really sad because I was having fun with those. I was playing with people from all around the world. My friends I have friends in so many different countries from all these things I go to. And the virtual escape rooms, like, I'll call up my friend in Australia, like, hey, let's do this room together. And I'm like, oh, I see you on a regular basis. It's so cool. And now I haven't seen her. I see her once every 2 years.
So I get the sense, I'm just going to take this moment to tangent here, but I get the sense that given how you are in the jigsaw puzzling world, and given that you have, as near as I can tell, 1,000 other hobbies, and you are a prolific, not just consumer, but a creator of content, right? So that you have what look like hundreds of escape room reviews. You've done hundreds of jigsaw puzzle videos. You seem like a force of nature. You seem like if we could just bottle your energy, we could supply probably a small town. How does your family keep up with you, I guess, is my question.
To be honest, I think they just step back and get out of my way. And they're very supportive of everything I do. I'll tell my husband, like, I'm leaving this weekend. I'll leave Friday. I'll be back Sunday morning. Here's the things that need to be done. I would do them myself, but they just absolutely need to be done on Saturday, and there's no way around it. So please, sir, will you please do them for me? And he does. And so, like, if the kid needs to go somewhere, I'm like, husband, like, they really need to go somewhere, and like, I just can't because I'm in another city. Because I try as much as possible when I'm here to do what I can, and then so when I've gone they take care of themselves.
I would love to help you, but I'm jet setting. I've got important things to do across the globe. I'm going to be in London for some escape room competitions. And so, like,
I mean, those are words I've actually said. I mean, 2019 was the World Escape Room Championships in London.
So part of me is like 2019 seemed like it was a pinnacle year for you, maybe just coincidentally, because you went to the escape room competition in 2019 as part of that. My recollection is that you were probably doing the MIT Mystery Hunt in that year.
Yes, that's the year we won.
And if
right.
yeah, exactly. And if you had your druthers, you would have been in Spain doing competitive jigsaw puzzling that same year.
That sounds about right.
So does your husband have a similar hobbies that you're like, okay, you go off and do a thing and I'm going to be the home person for now?
Well, I'm very grateful that his major hobby is video games, so he stays at home to play that. If he had a hobby that took him out of the house, scheduling would be a lot more complicated.
So I'm going to tangent here again. At some point, we'll get back to the history. Like I'm trying to run through the timeline of Tammy McLeod here. We'll get back to it at some point. You, speaking of video games, were in the video game world for a while.
I worked in video games for about 5 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, professional as a video game programmer.
And that seemed like an intentional move because previously you were working in a non-video game related field. Was that feeding into your game general enjoyment, or like what drove you there?
I think my philosophy has always been to try and pursue happiness and contentment.
I mean, you seem like a poster child for at least part of that. I can't speak to the contentment. I've never seen you still.
I haven't really crystallized a philosophy, right? I know what drives me. I know I want to live life without regrets. So I mean, I say these things, but I also have to balance my other goals. Like I'm a very conservative person in that I make sure I'm safe when I make choices. I don't like blow all my money just trying to pursue dreams. I also I live life conservatively, making sure I planned out my next 40 years of life. I'm like, but even within that framework of my, I think I call myself conservative. I know that sounds really strange in the context of how crazy my choices seem.
Well, but they're balanced, right? Like you have sort of things going on in terms of financial achievement and being able to be comfortable with your work and family and that sort of thing, balanced with going off and having adventures with other folks doing random weird competitions of things. So it feels like you're not so conservative as much as just trying to keep things in balance.
That's a good way of putting it. But yes, I always made choices knowing that I will make the best choice I can for this moment, because how will I look back on this in 20 years? Will I be, will I regret not trying this strange thing? Would I have let fear prevent me from trying something interesting? Or I don't want to let what people think of me affect how I choose. It's more important what I think of me. And I feel like I am fairly level-headed at how I form my opinion of myself. For some people, not caring about others' opinions mean going out and having a full sleeve tattoo. Well, for me, that's not that. It's for me, did you make the choice that satisfies you, that fits in with who you are and what you want to do with your life?
Was there anything that you said that you didn't want fear to get in your way? Is there anything in particular that you had to sort of overcome that in order to do something that you ended up enjoying?
I don't think that applies so much in terms of the choices I made with regards to hobbies. I mean, it's more like life choices. Like, I'm Asian, and my parents growing up like, why don't you be a doctor or a lawyer? That's really a financial secure route. I'm like, I won't be happy doing that. I know what I wanted. I love computers. I'm going to do that. This was in the 80s. Computer science was not really a thing. Like, it's like, that's a weird career choice. You be an accountant, be an architect, those are careers. But I really felt this deep-seated love for computers, and so I went with that. I didn't know where it would end up, and it turned out to be a really viable career for me. And so I didn't let the fear of it not being a proper career choice stop me from always making a choice in that direction. I took computer science in school. I joined the computer club. I applied to MIT, which was halfway around the world from me, and I didn't know anybody in Boston. I was just like, I didn't even know what winter in Boston was. I did very little research. I'm like, MIT is famous school for computer science. Great, let's go do that.
Yeah, because you came from an environment where I imagine the winters were nowhere near like they were in Boston.
It's located on the equator. There's no winters in Singapore. I got there and I was like, this place is cold. I don't understand this cold, but I'm here for school, and that's the most important thing. I'll layer, I wear gloves, whatever. Let's deal with it. I'm here for school. I hate the cold, but I will get through this.
I'm curious, you said that it was sort of a calling to you, it sounds like. Do you have a sense of what speaks to you or spoke to you at the time? I don't know if it still does, that about sort of programming and computer science that really drew you into it?
It was the fact that things were a known quantity, in a sense, like solving puzzles. You write a program, things happen, you can easily see how that happened and why it happened. You know how the computer is going to behave because it's a machine that was designed and built to respond to code a certain way. And this was like things were in my control, and I felt and writing programs, for example, I get the same satisfaction from writing a good program that I do from solving a good puzzle, because I set out to achieve a goal.
Mhm.
I applied my brain to it. I made this thing. It took a lot of messy work in the process, but the final product, it creates this thing. It does this thing that you recognize as an output.
I've heard you say that even bugs are sort of a fun puzzle for you.
Yeah, because I mean, bugs are a result of a mistake in programming usually. But you, from the design, you know that it should be possible for you to get a correct output, and you have this. You put this input in, and you get this wrong output. And if it's repeatable, that's beautiful, because that's when you can really start to figure out, all right, where in the process did it go wrong? And narrowing it down is solving a puzzle for me, because I have to start using my experience and a little bit of art to it. But like you start narrowing down where the problem might be, and you look at it, look, that this was supposed to do this and this did this instead, and it's very clear, a black and white solution of how you fix something. And so it's again the same satisfaction.
Right, and it's an achievement at the end, right? Like you get something, like you've unlocked some kind of stability, or like it works now, right? Like it's its own thing.
It's the same as you complete a jigsaw puzzle. There's that you get to that point, like you've got it right because it's a complete picture. And it's the same process. You just do this. You do this work, this mental work, to get to a state where everybody agrees that's the thing you wanted.
All right, I've taken us on several different tangents. I'm going to bring us all the way back. January 2020, you go to St. Paul Winter Carnival. You're fangirling with Val over Wicker Kittens. At some point, I believe that you were like, I'm interested in doing this thing, right? Materializing some sort of US organization so that I can then go to Worlds. How did that all unfold at that point?
That didn't happen at Winter Carnival. I think it wasn't Ali who actually started talking to Val, and I was like, I'm not a very personable person. I don't feel like I'm very socially adept. So I'm standing next to Ali, and Val's talking. I'm like, I wish I knew how to introduce myself into this conversation. I want to get to know Valerie.
Yeah, you should start a podcast. That's how I did it.
I was made for you, but I don't count social skills as one of my strengths, to be honest. So it was later on when I finally located Jonathan and Faith as well, and we had enough
Faith
people
Taylor, yeah.
that I felt we had a critical mass of skill set and manpower to try and get a USA JPA thing going. And this was, I don't remember exactly the timeline, but it was the first half of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
During the lockdown, when people at home, we were having meetings over Zoom, talking, and I think we got a paperwork filed like mid 2020, and so it was between then, like it just took a few months. But before that, I had already been trying to keep an eye out on like Facebook groups, for example, because people will talk about the competitions or world US organization. People say things like that, and like in random comments, like, oh, we should do this. Like, that's a very human thing to say, and I always say, are you interested in being one of those people? Because people don't always make that mental leap from this should be done to I should do that.
Yeah.
Like it seems like a very rare mental leap that people make. That it's like so common to hear people say, "Oh, this thing should totally be a thing." I'm like, let's make it a thing.
That does not stop Tammy McLeod. No.
I have now gotten very comfortable with being the person to say, let's make it a thing. How how hard is it to make it a thing? I will ask that now, and I'll look at it like, okay, that's something I feel like I could do, or, oh God, we need way too much money and way too much time. I had to find 20 people to do that. I guess that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like that. That should be a thing. I would love for that thing to exist so that I can participate in it or exploit it or whatever that is. But I don't want to do it. But you're like that should be a thing, and let's do it.
It's I gotten over the fear of being the person to say let's make it a thing, because now I know what's involved in making it a thing.
So have you started many other things now?
I think the USA JPA might be my crowning achievement with regards to that. But I feel like in smaller ways that just happens now and then when people say things. I don't keep a running tally of these things in my head, so it doesn't come to mind.
Speaking of things that probably won't come to mind, you guys formed the USA JPA during COVID, what would turn out to be relatively early in COVID. Do you recall the process of getting to ultimately the first national competition?
Oh, wow. Oh, there's so much involved. I don't know if I have it as clear in my head how the process went. I think there was a point early on in the discussions of why should USA JPA be a thing was also included. Like, we were talking about our mission, and I really was focused on the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship as my goal.
Mm-hmm.
But other people on the board were like, community is important. Like, we want to make sure we put efforts towards building community as well. And I was like, doesn't it just naturally happen? I have no idea how this thing works. Okay. But more credit goes to them for making sure that was part of our mission. And so we had the virtual puzzle club meetings, which turned out to be very important, I think, because as a national organization, you can't just it's hard for everybody to get to know each other. It's like we're spread out. It's now that state organizations are happening, I think that will do a lot more for community, because people can actually, let's just go drive a little ways to this meeting that's happened and see people face to face. Whereas as a US organization, getting to know people, other members, is really hard without, virtual Zoom meetings. Really, that's what it ended up being, and I think those help start building the community. And once that was in place, I think we were more confident that a national championship and slash convention would be a successful thing, because people understood that we were a legitimate organization. We are, this is not just some idea that someone has and puts up a webpage and say, let's do it.
That's a really great point. They saw you out in the world, right? They saw you guys, well, not out in the world. They saw you in the world through their screens multiple times. They got to know who you were. They created some validity around this concept.
We ran virtual competitions. I think I don't remember the date of our first virtual competition, but we had one fairly early on. And, it was like 50 people in Zoom doing a virtual competition. It was awesome. So from there, it was like a natural step to finding, okay, let's do this national championship in person and have people show up. But we were a little apprehensive, we're going to have to invest this money, where you have to rent things, get a venue, we have to get puzzles, get sponsors, actually show up, and this investment in this. Are people going to come? And people did, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and I hadn't run a major competition like that one before. I'd done ballroom competitions, but slightly different. This is when people's times are underlined to make sure things go smoothly. I was in charge of tech at the event, and I was my brain was blowing up because I was trying to do too many things at the same time, but it all worked out.
You guys brought nationals together. It worked, at least from the outside, really well. It must have been very satisfying to have pulled that off.
It was very satisfying. We were very validated that the Tomasz from Ravensburger, North America, was there, and he said it was the best event he had attended that year, I think. And so it was very validating that he enjoyed being there, and so we got a lot of support from Ravensburger as a result. So that helped a lot, because they're a known entity and they're a major sponsor, and they provide the puzzles. So having their support and having them know that we can pull it off was, I think, also a big deal. And of course, the fact that everybody who was there said they had a good time. It's so easy to lose sight of the fact that you're there, that you're putting together this event for the people who are attending. Because it can get bogged down in the details, can get bogged down in just running the thing and making it happen. You forget the big picture. Which is like the same thing when I planned my wedding. Like people, I always felt like before I got married, I was like, why do you care so much about the color of the bowl that's on your chair? It's like, why do you care like what color your wedding cake is? Like, I wrote a mission statement for my wedding
Of course
planning
you did.
binder. It says like to have people show up, celebrate us, have a good time,
Hmm.
um, and that helped to guide all the decisions later. Like, this is important, this is not. And I planned my wedding in 2 months, and like we came out of it sane, and we're still married. So that's a win. So it's that kind of same kind of philosophy with like planning a large event like nationals. You have to remember that you're doing it for the puzzlers who are coming, and what keeps things smooth and running and having a good time. You can add things to make it more fun for them, but is it going to cost the experience in some other way?
Do you recall any trade-offs like that you had to make?
I think I don't remember the specific trade-offs, but I was kind of the person who was like, guys, all right, I know you just brought up a really good suggestion, and it'll be awesome if we had, but we are five people. We are also depending on an army of volunteers. You can't just say we'll throw more volunteers at it. That means we have to find another 6 volunteers. Where they're just not magically showing up. You you can't just say we'll add 2 more volunteers and then we can have this thing happen. You will add 4 more volunteers and this thing will happen. You don't know how many volunteers you have, and you can't just like cut it later on. So let's be conservative. And so that was my role in the planning, because having done project planning for software and other things, I just kind of knew that resource management is a reality.
One of the things that I often say about the USA JPA is that whenever somebody has an idea about something to do, you guys do it. So I think that having a voice of, I'm not going to say reason, but the other side of things, because you guys did the competition. It was in October 22 and didn't do it again for 2 years. That suggests that whatever was involved was a lot.
It's a lot of work because getting a venue pretty much has to do it about a year in advance. And we didn't know at that point how that event will go off. So we didn't start planning the second one before the first one completed.
Sure.
Whereas when you have an annual event, often you announce the next year's event at that event because you've already started the ball rolling and the framework going for that one. You've signed the contracts for the venue, for the dates, so you can announce the dates, and then you do all the other stuff later on. But that's like one of the biggest things. And we didn't know how many people were going to show up. We didn't know if it was even going to be a success. So we had to start planning the next one. So we wait. The first one happened and it was successful. And then we're like, we gotta have another one. But first of all, we are all tired. We were so incredibly tired after that. And we're like, we can't pull this off again in 12 months. First of all, it's too late to get the venue right away. And so we knew we needed that 1 year break.
So that implies that you guys had been planning the 22 competition for more than a year. Is that true?
That was probably true because I don't remember when we actually signed the contracts for the venue, but that determines a lot of things from there on, because you have how many people you can accommodate, how many puzzles you have to get, and then we had to there was other infrastructure thing. We got support from the World Federation to use the software for running things.
Mm-hmm.
We had to rent everything, and none of us were professional event planners, so.
But most, if not all of you, were pretty fearless. So like you guys were just like, well, there's a job to get done. Let's go get that job done. Like it's an amazing group of folks that you guys all put together.
That was the beauty of it, that everybody on that team were people who were not afraid of trying to do something, even if they'd never done it before. And they were smart people, and they were energetic people, and they were brave, and I think that's why we worked so well together, because we had so much to bring to the table, and the enthusiasm and the love for the event and people. I couldn't have asked for a better group to do it with. And also, which is why when I retired from the board, I was like, I had no worries about the longevity of the organization and the event continuing, because I knew what they had was more than enough to sustain it.
Although it did take 2 other people to fill your job.
I don't know. I mean, what can I say? That's quite a compliment.
And they're amazing people as well. Becca Taylor and Heather Mueller are not slouches in any way. And the fact that it took 2 really amazing women to fill your role says a lot.
they are more sane than I am in how much they think of themselves, perhaps.
So you did all of this ostensibly so you could go to Worlds, so that you could say, I've got an association, now I can go to Worlds. Now there was at least one family of competitors at Worlds in 2019 from the US.
Yes. That was
And
AJ Jacobs and his
yes.
pretty much his wife and 2 sons.
Yeah. Did it turn out that you didn't in fact need to have a organization in order to compete?
That turned out to be the case. I learned that much too late. But I'm such a rule follower that when I see it in print, then I'm like,
Yes.
it must be true.
Why would they put it down if it wasn't true?
Exactly. So I need to do this before I even like ask. I mean, because surely when I reach out, the first thing they'll ask me is, "Where's your country organization?" I'll be, "Oh well, I guess I should have done that first. My bad." So I wanted all my ducks in a row, get all that, and then march in confidently and like, here I am.
You ended up going to Worlds. Did you go in 2022?
Yes, we
It
did.
was in June, I think. So it would have been before US Nationals.
Yes, it was right before US Nationals.
Yes. So you had nothing else going on except to plan a major US Nationals competition. You were like, you know what? I'm going to Worlds. And you took some of the board with you.
Yeah, but it turned out to be very valuable because we saw how things run, and I could easily point to the people who went with me, like, look, this is how Worlds did it. This is, we can do it this way. We can do it better, or we can do it the same way, or whatever. But we learned from it. We saw how things ran, and we got a lot of experience just from watching, which we didn't have to learn the hard way.
Yeah. Were there things that you came back and you were like, I love this. We didn't really think of this. We should definitely do this.
I don't recall specifically saying that, but I do feel like I do remember that we consciously knew that we were learning from Worlds and trying to do better in areas. Like, I don't remember specifically what we tried to improve on, but at the time we like, okay, there's some rough things that let's make sure we prep for those and do it better. But I feel that the first US Nationals went as smoothly as it did is because we were able to observe Worlds firsthand.
Yeah, because one of the things that sets apart the US Nationals from Worlds, especially at that time, I think, was the sort of extra community component of things. Like the US Nationals very much felt like a community where a competition was happening, whereas Worlds felt very much like a competition. And, if you want to do community things, good luck with that.
I think that was helped by all the extra stuff we did. Because we had a whole convention space in addition to the competition floor, which gave people a place to go to be social, to connect with each other. We had the vendors in the space, and so that also allowed them to connect with the community. I think having all those extra things around it it doesn't seem like a lot, but it was actually a lot of work. But it also helped. That was like we had a thing where everybody worked on a giant puzzle together, for example. That immediately gave people a reason to sit down and talk to each other. People are not talking to the next table during a competition, so you're always competing together, but you're not connecting. Whereas the casual puzzling aspect was a very good way to connect.
So you finally realized one of your many dreams of going to the World Jigsaw Puzzle Competition. How did you enjoy the competition side of it? Like, you did well.
We did better than I expected. Yes, actually, my team got 6th place in the team competition, and we didn't realize that was a prize-winning position.
Right, goes out to 10.
Yeah. Oh, now it is out of 10. Back then it was out of 6. I thought
Oh, there you go.
3. So we went on stage, and I was like thrilled. I even optimistically had brought a US flag to unfurl, like I'd seen in the Olympics or
because you got to be prepared.
I didn't want to tell anybody about it in case they would say, well, you were optimistic, weren't you? And look how you did. That was just in case, I'm bringing it. Because I planned for failure, but I also planned for success.
Mm-hmm. And so was it everything you had dreamed it would be?
I think so. I mean, I wanted to be there. Got to meet a lot of people. I felt I came away knowing people from so many different countries. The performance, I did okay. I was happy in my performance. I'm not a world champion, but it's really tough.
Didn't you finish like 20th in that?
I did pretty well then.
You were disappointed in 20th. Okay, I get that.
I mean, I've been champions in other things. I had no so I didn't realize how good it was to be 20th because this is there's a lot of good puzzlers out there. But I was just happy that I went to Worlds. Like I just wanted to be there. I wanted to compete. I wanted to. I found the making connections with other people in other countries was to me very valuable. I was now part of a larger community. I met people from Turkey, from Brazil, from like just I loved that the Australians as well. The Australians are super friendly. um, so yeah, I came away from the first Worlds feeling like it was a great experience, and that's why I continued to do it for like a couple more years. And yeah,
Yeah, you wait a couple more years. The level of competition continued to rise every year.
yeah, it got astoundingly good. Like more people knew about it. More people who didn't realize they were world-class puzzlers were finding out that they we could compete. It's to be expected. Sometimes when I compete, I don't tell people at a competition, so I have less competition. Um, but that starting the USA JPA did not help with that.
No, it's exactly the opposite problem.
I've come to terms with that. That's okay. I've helped people on their rise to stardom.
I mean, if that's what you're after, sure, but that doesn't help you.
I had my day in the sun.
So at some point, you decided that you were done. So it seemed like, if I recall correctly, you retired from work. You retired from the USA JPA, same year. Was that planned? Was that intentional? Were you setting up the next phase of life going on here?
I think it was intentional. I didn't know when it would happen, but I knew I was ready to do it. I've been readying myself for a while, slowly moving along that path, making sure, for example, all the things I knew were not just in my head, either captured on paper or passed on to other people, so that whenever I left, there wouldn't be suddenly this gap, and that way I could leave, comfortably and without people resenting the fact that I left them hanging.
Mm-hmm.
So that was important to me. So I had announced my intention to important people in advance, and so it gave them enough time to come to terms with it, to prepare for it, and so that when I finally made the decision to say, okay, this is it, this is when I'm leaving, that it wasn't like a huge deal. It really was like, oh, okay, you finally decided. So I told them, like, I'll be here at least to the end of nationals, because I know you need people to do this. You need me here, and then nationals, what happened? I'm like, you know what? This was it's going to be good. I don't think you need me after this. So, and then they're like, okay, we'll make a big announcement at nationals. I'm like, I wasn't necessary, but cool. I guess you should let people know.
How did you feel on leaving that role? Were you exhausted and ready to let it go, or was it bittersweet?
I felt like I had done a good job, and I provided some value. I did something that will persist beyond me, and it was nice to see that. And I felt that there was no bitterness over me leaving, because as I said, I tried to wrap things up properly and put things in a good place. So I felt happy about that. That way, and now I also so I didn't feel burned out or anything like that, but I knew it was taking a lot of energy from me. And
Mm-hmm.
as you said, as you have observed, I am interested in a million different things, and I do have other goals that I do want achieved in life. So I didn't want to be doing that for the next 20 years. So I was gathering my energy to put myself in a place that I can pursue other things. I must admit that for the last year or so since retiring, I have been distracted by jigsaw puzzle content creation. So I haven't really gone in any other direction. But the goals are there, and I'm still working towards it. And I feel like I'm in a good position to do that.
I was going to say somewhat facetiously that I don't imagine you're retiring from work and retiring from the USA JPA was to clear the slate so that you go sit at home and, like, your husband could then travel the world on his own. I suspect that is not how things were set up. So you just had a bunch of other things that you needed to attend to, and work in USA JPA were just roadblocks to getting to doing those things.
Oh, there were major responsibilities of mine. So I felt that I didn't need to be doing them anymore. Like I wasn't necessary there. So it's time to redirect my energy, because I am acutely aware that human lifespan is limited. So I that drives me to make sure I don't forget that someday maybe things should potentially be today.
You and Yvonne Foyt started a YouTube channel. And I recall talking to her just on the precipice of your retirement, and she was like, "At long last, we're both available. We're going to be able to put a lot of effort into this YouTube thing." And then I think what ended up happening is you retired and she ended up like deep in some job where she couldn't get out. And so it seemed like you guys sort of just passed each other by in that sense.
It was rough. I mean, we managed to get the channel off the ground and we got it going for a while, but there were a lot of things happening, and I know I couldn't give it the energy it needed. Unfortunately, she started a new channel now, and I wish her all the best with that. And so, but also as I said, I was actually leaving work, leaving the USAJP was actually me trying to get energy for other large areas of interest in my life, and I even producing as much jigsaw puzzle content as I do now still feels like I've let myself get a little distracted from that. But it's hard to pull away right away because I am doing a lot of jigsaw puzzle stuff. I'm still enjoying going to competitions. I'm doing jigsaw puzzles at home. I might as well film that. I have like a lot of jigsaw puzzle experience. I'll love to make a video and talk about it. So I felt it was kind of incidental, except it does seem to be taking more time than I had budgeted for. So I'm in a process of flux right now, but it's not terrible. But I still feel like I've not deviated from my path too far.
What are the things that you wanted to get to that you haven't got to yet?
I want to be a writer. That's like my major goal. I've always wanted. Since I was 7 years old, I wanted to be a writer, and that kind of got put on the back burner for most of my life because that wasn't my career. I know people ask me like, "Oh, so what book are you going to write?" I have like 8 books in my head that I want to write. So that even then is a difficulty because like, all right, do I want to go nonfiction first or fiction first? I have like 4 different stories that I want to write, and it's just
wow. So
I need some clarity.
Fiction and nonfiction. Any particular kind of fiction, or are you just as promiscuous with your fictional genres as you are with your hobbies in general?
Well, I wanted to write a book about pirates, set in the world of pirates. I wanted to write one that was a little more magic based, and I've also wanted to write one set in a puzzling world. I'm not going to combine these. These are going to actually magic and puzzling world. I recently had an idea of how to combine them. I think more in terms of setting rather than stories. I feel like the stories depend on the characters, but I need to invest a lot more time and energy in them before they become book worthy. But those are part of some of the ideas I've been throwing around in my head for a while.
So writing, are there other things that you're struggling to get to?
That's the main one. I think once I get that, then everything else will be icing on the cake. Because that one is a specific goal I've wanted since I was a child. Everything else is like, okay, I would love to travel more. Oh, I would love to learn to sing better. I've took classes, and maybe I would like to find a community choir to sing in. I would love to dabble in voiceover acting. They're all very esoteric things. Yeah, I would love to learn a bunch more languages. I'm trying to learn French right now. I studied Italian for many years. I would love to make a hobby of gaining more Guinness World Records.
You have 2, right? Do you have
Well,
more than 2?
I technically have one. I have one in the process of being approved right now. There was one that we did at Worlds in 2024, which should have been a record, but I don't think it was an official attempt. I don't think it's ever going to become an officially recorded attempt.
So for those of like 12 people in the audience who don't know, what is your first record?
The wording on it is the fastest time to complete the Guinness World Records Hasbro puzzle. It's a mouthful.
It's a 250-piece puzzle. You had to go hunt it down. That seems like a world record in and of itself because the puzzle's fairly old, right?
It's out of print. So like I trod eBay for months before finally locating a copy. Yeah, so I had that, and then I figured out all the requirements to have it count as an official world record. I was planning to do an attempt in 2020 July at an event that I was going to go to, but it turned out the event clearly never happened. So I had a few more months of like, oh, well, how am I going to do this? So by December 2020, I figured out how we could do it socially distanced, masked, everybody at 6 feet from each other, and still satisfy all the requirements. So that was a feat in of itself, but I was delighted that they accepted all my evidence, and yeah, it happened. And now I'm like, oh yeah, that's an easy thing to do.
That's another thing that seems daunting, except that you just threw yourself into it and you come out the other side and like, okay, I could do lots of these. Why not? I've mastered it once. Now I could just do it at an industrial scale.
Exactly. So the recent one I did was like the most number of escape rooms attended in 24 hours. which actually what turned out to be logistically exponentially more complicated than a 10-minute attempt because you still need a video of the entire thing.
Oh yeah, because so your puzzle was only like 10 minutes, but this was 24 hours worth of video.
Yes.
Oh, that is crazy.
So, but it was a not insurmountable challenge. So we
Well,
did.
what is an insurmountable challenge for you? I'm starting to think there aren't those things.
There are some. I looked at. There was one afternoon I was going through the World Guinness Record website and looking at records. I'm like, oh no, that I can't do that. Oh, I physically cannot do that. Oh, there's no way I can organize 2,000 people to do this. Stuff like that.
I did see there was a record for the most people creating the image of a jigsaw puzzle piece.
Yeah, that looks logistically daunting. You have to be very committed to do that. I'm even me. I'm not that committed.
Just a quick aside, I saw a picture of your doing that competition. Doing the world record attempt, and it looked like maybe Andrew was there. Somebody looked a lot like Andrew was there. Was Andrew there?
Andrew was one of my timekeepers. I needed two impartial timekeepers. They couldn't be co-workers and they couldn't be family members. That was the definition of impartial. So friends were okay.
Okay, teammates, yeah. That's awesome. I saw the picture. I was like, hey, I know that guy. All right, there's something I want to ask you that it's esoteric. I'm not sure who's going to care about this, but I care deeply about this. So tell me about JPAR, because my understanding is that this was your thing.
It was my baby. Yes.
Tell me about it. I want to hear all about it. Tell folks, what is JPAR?
JPAR stands for Jigsaw Puzzle Association Ranking. I named it after the USA JPA because it was always my thought that it needed some kind of official backing. So the USA JPA would be the backing for that. So JPA R for ranking. And it was always meant to be a way of ranking. It's not meant to be a score the way the chess ELO scoring goes. I thought a lot about it because with chess you have this every game you play is a ranking system. You're actually intrinsically ranking yourself with the other opponent. And jigsaw puzzles, you don't have that one-to-one aspect. You have a competition aspect, but then again, it's not independent because of a chessboard. It's always the same conditions. You all start with the same chessboard. It's all up to the players.
Although it'd be fun if there were different chessboards.
That would be an interesting variation. That's for them to figure out. But with jigsaw puzzles, like the puzzle you get affects your time so heavily. Like also within the personal puzzler, because some people can't do gradients and some people hate busy puzzles, and that isn't information that's captured in your profile, for example.
Yeah.
I just have the person and the puzzle. So what I was trying to design was something that was captured the fact that you compete against other people, but the difficulty of the puzzle varied. But I don't know how much you know about the actual process of computing a JPAR.
I know quite a bit about it, but why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
The first stage is basically using the results from a competition to give a score to a puzzle, which kind of tells you its relative difficulty to other puzzles. But this starts with a core group of people who have done all the puzzles, so you can use them as a comparison point. And you sort of make this assumption that people generally perform as well as they should in each competition. Like, oh, maybe somebody's having a bad day, so that's going to create an outlier data, but this is why you have multiple people to average things out. So in general, like, okay, for all these competitions, these people be at the top, the same people are at the bottom, and that kind of tells you, and if they all average around 40 minutes for this puzzle, this is a fairly easy puzzle. And if they all average an hour 20 on this puzzle, this must be a hard puzzle. So you take those times and you scale it accordingly based on the assumed difficulty of the puzzle, and then you take those scaled times for individual people, and then you process them again and compare them to each other to use that to rank people to each other. But all these numbers, because they're meant to be relative to each other, because once you throw in another difficult puzzle and it scales all the numbers up, but in theory, the ranking and the comparative positioning of each person should stay the same. But that's why I say this JPAR number it doesn't tell you much in of itself. You're meant to see it in relation to the other people that you've been compared with. It's a ranking and not a rating.
Was this a just from scratch thought exercise from you, or did you borrow and steal parts of it from other things?
It was a from scratch exercise. To be honest, I tried to understand ELO, but I didn't have the patience to work through the entire algorithm. And I was like, you know what? It's not entirely applicable to what I need. And I only have so much time. At the time, I was like, a busy person. So I was like, I understand what I need. And I ran through some numbers and I started tweaking. I had example numbers and I plugged it through the algorithm. Did it do what I expected it to do? Did it do what I needed it to do? Does it put the people that should be in the right place, where I want them to be? And it did. So that validated it for me. And so I wrote it up and nobody else understood it. So it was kind of like, I guess I got this thing. Here you go. And so now I love that there's a team working on it. I hope that they, find the rough edges and make it better and strengthen it if possible and make it what it can be. I know I did it all on my own and I don't have a statistics background and I have a programming background, but I do have some math, but I did the best I could and hopefully it was a good starting point.
From my own personal experience, so this is just another reason for me to fangirl over you, was that I had worked my way through a few different algorithms like ELO to try and see, okay, how can this apply to jigsaw puzzling? And I worked at I built a few other of my own sorts of things. And I'm like, this is sort of working, but not really. And then I got into JPAR and I started reading through it and I started actually like coding up my own version of it. Like, oh, this is really great. This is simple. It does what it's supposed to do. It does it well. It's relatively easy to understand. So I just want to say thank you for doing that because I thought that was a great addition to the jigsaw puzzling world.
Thank you.
And I've wantonly stolen it. And I use a modified version of it for not just US, but for kind of world-based rankings. But I use it because it works and it's great. So thank you for doing that.
It's my pleasure. I hope
just another thing that just keeps living beyond you.
I mean that's immortality right there.
That's right. You are immortalized in an algorithm.
I'm happy for that to be my legacy.
We've got just a few more minutes here, so I'm going to switch over to the speed round. The speed round is where I ask you just a couple of options, just looking for you to choose one. Don't have to think really hard about it. We just want to get a little bit of a understanding about your thoughts on some things. Ready?
Okay.
All right. Gradients, patterns, or fur?
Gradients.
Illustration or photos?
Illustrations. Oh, that's harder though, but still illustrations. They're prettier.
Jumble puzzles or landscape?
Ooh, jumble puzzles are more fun. Landscapes are prettier.
Round or square?
Ooh, round, but they're harder to find. There's so few of them.
True. Wood or cardboard?
Oh, that's like asking which of my cousins are favorites. They're different things, but I really love wood, but cardboard is so much cheaper. So, yeah.
Individuals, pairs, or teams?
Individuals.
Ribbon cut or random cut?
Ribbon cuts.
Wow, all right.
My brain can't process. I can't orient any random cuts. It's so hard.
300, 500, or 1,000?
Oh, I think 500 is a sweet spot. 300 is too short. 1,000 is like exhausting if I do it. I always do puzzles in one sitting. 1,500 in one sitting was really tiring.
I was going to say, yeah, there's got to be somewhere you learned the hard way.
I did it at night. I clearly I hadn't learned. I was up to 6 a.m. working on 1,500.
Wait, you said you did it the other night?
Yeah, last week or a week ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. I regret everything.
Do you have a current favorite brand?
I can't. I do so many brands. I love so many of them. I cannot pick a favorite.
Do you have a favorite puzzle?
Similarly, there's quite a few I would say I love, but I can't. I mean, like if you're on the top of favorite, I have like so many Ravensburgers, but part of this because it's my training puzzles as well. I have like way more Ravensburger than I have any other brand. I was just recently realizing that.
Where can people get more of you?
I'm very easy to find on the internet. Just look up Tammy McLeod Puzzler. So I'm everywhere.
Yeah, give people a couple of places where they might find you.
I have an Instagram account. I have a TikTok that has been kind of abandoned. I'm on YouTube. I have a website called puzzle.casa. But searching for my name pulls me up in a lot of places. Just Tammy McLeod. Tammy McLeod Puzzler on Instagram is probably where I'm the most active right now. Tammy
McLeod, thank you so much for bringing your dynamo style energy to Peace Talks. This has been great. I really appreciate you spending the time to chat with me.
It was such a pleasure. You're great interviewer, and you have very interesting questions.
Thanks for listening to Peace Talks. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at peace_talks, and you can send email to peacetalkscast@gmail.com.